You are watching Access LaPorte County, Channel 97. Coming up next is the March 25th, 2024 meeting of the LaPorte County Council. You can find more information for this meeting by visiting www.accesslaportecounty.org.
Good evening. We're going to start the LaPorte County Council regular meeting for March 22nd. Hang on a second. March 25th.
Correct.
It was amended on March 22nd. I was one step ahead of you. If everybody please stand and silence your phones. And if we could, at the end, have a moment of silence for Terry Gardner's father, who passed away. Mr. Rosenbaum.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Auditor, would you please call the roll?
Councilman Yagelski.
Present.
Councilman Keel.
Present.
Councilman Cunningham.
Present.
Councilman Rosenbaum.
Present.
Councilman Novak.
Present.
Councilman Mullenhour. Councilman Mullenhour, take off your mute. Oh, sorry.
That could be him, but.
Councilman Karanka. I'll come back to Mullenhour.
Present.
And Councilman Mullenhour.
Thank you. Approval of the March 25th agenda.
Mr. President, I make a motion to approve with the following changes. Under new business, point 1, item D, to add for the LaPorte County Clerk, a deputy clerk position for Superior 3. Remove new business item 2, and at the very end, remove the subsection for salary ordinance amendment.
Thank you. Is there any other additions or corrections?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. Approval of the February 26th meeting minutes.
I have one correction. On page 12, under salary ordinance amendment, it reads, Mr. Rosenbaum asked Ms. Graves to review the amendment to ensure that the clerk's $15,000 for scanners was coming out of the clerk's perpetuation. I'm sorry, I take it back. I was trying to figure out, I thought it meant for scanners when I first read, like hard scanners, not for people scanning. So I take that back. Stop.
So is that a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Those opposed? Public comment. Public comment is now open.
Good evening. Steve Hollifield, 6782 East 100 South Mill Creek. I emailed all of you, and I just want to get for the record, you're all aware of these solar projects that are being proposed in LaPorte County. RWE, along with several other companies across the state, have approached their councils for tax abatements. I'm asking that you guys deny a tax abatement because they are not creating any jobs. She said herself on record here at the workshop, there will be 4 jobs that will be floating across the entire part of the state, so they're not going to be local jobs. Speaking with other counties, they don't even use local workforce to build these and construct these. So I'm asking you guys that you would make sure they don't, if they ask for tax abatement, deny it, because it's not going to help LaPorte County at all. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public? State your name, sir.
Yes, sir. Brett Kessler, 4189 West State Road 2, LaPorte. We have coming up towards the end of the meeting, LaPorte County Building and Maintenance, FMEC, for infrastructure at the fairgrounds. I would strongly encourage the board to look in favor of this. As you know, we're coming up on our 178th year of the LaPorte County Fair that is run by the LaPorte County Ag Association on county grounds. Those grounds are owned and operated by the county now. It took a long time to get infrastructure dollars. The Ag Association, as recently as 5 years ago, put up a $370,000 structure. Looking at doing another one similar to that one right now. And I think as we look towards the future of whether it's the campground, improving the community building, it has an impact on every LaPorte County citizen and people outside LaPorte County as well. Go out there and take attendance every day. There's people walking, there's people there for meetings, the sheriff's department's there. It's a very important venture in my mind. So I appreciate you guys looking at that as a favorable decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public?
Yes, would you pass these out to? Good evening. My name is Dean White. I live at 3066 North US Highway 35. I'm at the old Pine Lake Farmers Grange Hall. I'm here to talk to you about what I call a vista view. A vista refers to a visually striking view or scene typically observed from a specific vantage point. It encompasses a wide expanse of scenery, often extending into the distance, and is known for its captivating beauty and grandeur. Some of you don't know me. I have a business in town, and I was a co-founder of People Engagement Preservation, which is now Preserve Historic LaPorte. I was a board manager of the LaPorte County Convention and Visitors Bureau for 6 years. I also helped Mayor Krentz Sr. to create the Code Enforcement Department downtown years ago. Initiated the preservation of our historic barn across from the fairgrounds. So I'm a visionary. The Vista View is at the corner of Waverly and Pine Lake Avenue. This was once a cleared view, a backdrop for the sign as an entrance to Soldiers Memorial Park. It has unfortunately been neglected for years and allowed to become overgrown. However, it can easily become beautiful again. It can be an attractive view of Soldiers Memorial Park and the wetlands and Stone Lake in one sweeping view. It's sincerely one of the most beautiful views of the park in LaPorte County. The area to be cleared is on property owned by LaPorte County, approximately 55 to 60%, and the city 30 to 35%, and the state highway 10%. The city maintains the state's mowing of the grass there. Please note that Pine Lake Avenue and Route 39 combine to be one of the most heavily traveled roads in the area. This high traffic project will allow countless travelers to witness the beauty of LaPorte. For months now, I have encouraged, promoted, and educated the Board of Commissioners to understand we have a limited window of time every year to clear this view once again for its beauty and grandeur. Thankfully, the County Commissioner Joe Haney has gladly helped to bring all of the constituents together to accomplish this beautiful endeavor, including the City of LaPorte and the City Parks Department. They are all in favor of helping. Also, the LaPorte County Parks Department, I met with Jeremy on site, and many other volunteers spent precious time putting ideas and strategies together for several weeks. Please note, this clearing was approved years ago by the county commissioners and also supported by LaPorte County Sheriff's Department for help. However, we are now at a roadblock to clear this view again. I quoted to the commissioners' board meeting, Joe Haney cannot finalize and initiate this alone. Rich Brzezinski cannot stand in Connie's lane, and you are the only one holding this project up, Connie. I called her prior to the meeting, and over 6-7 times on her mobile phone. She never returned my calls. I tried to meet with her in the office. I left messages there, and I encountered her once in a hallway, and she said she was too busy to talk. Please remember, our window of opportunity is quickly closing. Please don't miss out on this wonderful collaboration of city and county for the betterment of LaPorte. it takes only 2 commissioners to approve, and it was Joe Haney brought it up for a motion, and Connie abruptly introduced her conclusion. She denied the motion because the embankment is too steep for equipment, too difficult, and left no discussion prior for me or after. Of course, this is not true because it's been done before, and I've spoken with the company that did it. However, my conclusion is derived from meetings with both the park department and discussing a strategy as well. The following day, I went to the county, after the commissioner meeting, I went to the county highway department and I talked to the superintendent, Charity, and Andrew. They said they were shorthanded with 5 job positions currently open. However, they could do this clearing if they were told to do it. Andrew then suggested getting a price from a tree service business with the proper equipment and manpower. I spoke with Forrester's quality tree experts. They deliver truckloads of mulch out to my Pine Lake Range seasonally for landscaping and for my nature trails through the woods. I spoke with Maria Fruth of the Healthcare Foundation, and she's very excited about the idea. Forrester's reminded me that they originally cleared this Vista View several years ago. And I had them make an estimate. I gave you a copy of their estimate, and the estimate is at a highly discounted price of only $7,800. It reads, clear out from concrete marker to the fireworks store, to the wetlands, to the park sign, leaving the wood and the mulch for prevention of erosion, with the added benefit of it eventually decomposing into dirt. In conclusion, I'd like to request that the council make a motion of support and appropriation of funds for this beautification project. Other entities may also donate to this project. Obviously, this is a time-sensitive request, as spring is springing now, and clearing the land now is the best time to proceed. Any later, and the growing bush will add time and expense to the clearing of the space. This will also increase the cost. So on the beacon drawing that I have in front of you, you can see that the county has a port. I dotted the area of visualization through the wetlands off of Pine Lake Avenue. And the county owns a portion of this clearing, and the city owns a smaller portion of that clearing. I also gave you a close-up of that dotted line. And I gave you a picture of Soldiers Memorial Park when it was cleared and how beautiful it is. Bless you. And then the following picture is a picture I took day before yesterday, showing some of the view of the wetlands and Stone Lake Park in the distance. Then I gave you another picture of the scrub brush. There's only just a few trees in that area, so it's not a big job of clearing that scrub brush. And then also, I might point out, when I was at the county highway department, on their brick wall was a beautiful picture saying Great Lakes Wetlands. And the fine print underneath it says, preserve them unimpaired for future generations. So I hope you can help make this happen while it's less expensive before the foliage and poison ivy and such encompass that area. Thank you.
Just for the record, we cannot appropriate any money tonight because it has to be advertised.
Okay.
So it would have to be on our April 20th, what's the date of that one? 22nd meeting? I think it's the 22nd. So that'd be the soonest that we could do something.
Okay.
I would encourage the commissioners to work it out between them, because the highway department can do it.
They have funding, in other words.
They have funding for it, and we just approved a piece of equipment that's designed exactly for something like this.
Wow. Great. Good to hear it. Thank you so much.
You can go back to them and tell them we suggested that they work it out.
Yes.
Mr. Yagowski.
So, let me get this straight, because I'm trying to be, so the second picture from the end is that the part that has to be cleared, the second picture from the bill? Here, this one has to be
Yeah,
cleared?
that has to be cleared. Okay, so actually from the hilltop level of the road, down the hill slope onto a plateaued area of, which encompasses that picture there, just needs to be cleared.
It's not that big, we have loaders that can do this, it's not even, we don't want to put mulch back down, because that does not help with an embankment.
One of the pieces of equipment they just bought is one that it'll grind a tree from the top all the way to
Little
the
trees here, but I got it, yeah.
Well, but it'll just clear that stuff right off there, so. Yeah, so they have lots of equipment to do it,
It's a
Mr.
forestry
Rosenbaum.
tree. mulch.
Yeah, I have a little bit of a concern. You said that the city maintains the state property. But the state property, from what I took a look on the beacon map, actually is the outer line. Sorry, thank you. The state property is the outer ridge that's closest to the road.
Correct.
And so if they have permission from the state, that's one thing, but if we have to go get permission from the state, that's another thing. So I don't know the clarity on that.
Oh, well,
The city's gonna clear theirs?
The city has, for years, mowed the grass there. That's
fine.
That's all.
So the city takes care of theirs, and we just need to cut ours?
Yeah, but the state has the strip that's on the outside of the property.
Well, yeah,
They have
which is
pieces here and
a
pieces-
grass lawn.
Is this grass lawn, no trees on it?
No trees.
Okay, good. Thank you. That clears that part.
Thank you. Yep.
You're welcome.
I'd like to make a motion that we encourage the commissioners to reconsider this issue at their next meeting.
Absolutely. Motion by Mr. Keel. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Cunningham. Any questions or comments?
One quick question. Why do we own this property and have it listed as do not sell?
Do not what?
Don't sell
Do
it.
not sell.
It's just listed as county property, do not
Is it-
sell in
is it a-
city of LaPorte.
Does it have a wetland designation?
It does have a little wet.
Yes.
Maybe it
That
could
might
be
be
that
it.
they've
Okay.
yeah, they may have used that for mitigation at some point. Yes.
I have a comment. It's also important if you have all these people that you say that you do that also agree. I've heard different stories about people, some of them disagree, the ones that you had said. So it would be good to get a letter of support from them to support your statements.
Well, when I addressed the city, LaPorte City Council, they sent a councilman out there to meet with me, and they were all for it. So then I met with the park department heads of county and city. So, the city wants to see this happen, of course, and so do many other people of our community.
Hopefully they can put their differences aside and get this done. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Call for the vote.
I don't have a problem with it.
All those in-
I'm hearing two stories.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. Any other public comment? Anybody on Zoom? Public comment is now closed. Department head report?
I have one question. So, Mr. Keel, your motion, who's going to bring that information to the commission?
I don't know who would like to write a letter to them or an email.
Who's good at writing, Mr. Keel?
Gee, I don't know. I'll volunteer.
Well, it's just that it's good that we have a motion, but I didn't hear anybody directed to do it. So,
Would you like to amend that and have our attorney draft the document?
that's not illegal. I'll do it, but that's not a legal thing. Okay, I'll do it.
Yeah.
And I'll do it. I got it. I'll take care of it.
Everybody's good with that. We won't have to go back and re-motion. All right, you're good? All right. Department heads. Any department heads?
Heather Stevens, LaPorte County Clerk. I am here to, I think you guys all know why I'm here. I've had conversations with you, all of you, except Mr. Mullenauer. I tried to reach him and it didn't go well. I am in need of some kind of a solution for the mail machine. And I don't want to get into the why. That's why I called everybody individually to keep everything cool. But we don't have access to use it in LaPorte. So what we've been doing is driving to Michigan City to use the mail machine. It's election time. I don't have the time. I don't have the energy. and it's unnecessary. So my chief deputy has been amazing. She's looked into what it would take to get our own. Yes, she's here. I saw that. And the cost can range per month from $150 to $500. So the one that she felt would best suit the needs of the clerk's office is going to be $225 a month, which I know is an expense. It is also going to save us $1.20 per certified copy. So
Over the machine that's already being used?
yes,
It doesn't save you $1.25 on the commissioner's one?
you know, Carrie's on vacation, by the way. Can you tell?
I do apologize for I didn't know I was going to speak.
Please state your name.
The
Please state your name.
$1.20
State your name for the record.
Oh, I'm Carrie Barney, the Chief Deputy Clerk of the LaPorte Circuit Court Clerk.
Good evening.
The $1.20 savings on each certified mail is because you can do an electronic return instead of having to fill out, if you've ever sent registered mail, the green card. So right now we get the green cards and you fill them out and they send them and you pay for that green card to come back to you with the signature. On the Quadient mail machine, you can do it electronically. So each registered or certified mail that we send will be $1.20.
And that's not offered on the current one that we have? That's-
Not that I'm aware of on Pitney Bowes.
Okay.
No.
Mr. Yagowski.
So, thank you for your phone call, by the way. I like the council worked so hard 20-some years ago to get all these things under one roof, and it's helped out tremendously in our cost savings. This has to do with printers, copiers, and the stamp and the stamp machine, and so on and so forth. We made great progress on all that thing so that we don't have every department doing this, and unfortunately that one department lends to another. So I did talk to the commissioners today, and I got the agreement that if we can try this for a month, that you would go down there and let her, if you guys would stay there, you can stay there, let her scan the postage through, and then she'll hand them back to you. You can take them wherever you want to take them, because you said that was one of the issues of whether that's going to go out.
it is an issue because now that there are ballots involved, and I
Understand? You can have them back.
I just don't understand why we can
have a
Michigan City, but we can't use the one right here in LaPorte.
Well, that's a problem. So we're trying to get this thing. I didn't even find out about a date. You just told me yesterday. So they give me a whole lot of time. I'm sorry. So I'd like to see if we can try to get this thing to work for a month and see how it goes. And if it doesn't work, then we could come back to us and talk about it. Because I did talk to them and they promised they're going to play good.
But in the meantime, I'm dealing with ballots.
You're going to come back.
No, but what I'm saying is, if it continues to be an issue, and I'm waiting a month to come back here,
But you won't. Just get with me. You won't. Take my word for it. Trust me.
okay.
Try this out. We're going to know way before this happens whether it's going to come falling apart. Trust me. If we take the machine out of the commissioners, I'd rather do that than not have all these departments have these machines.
Okay.
So I will work with the commissioners personally, with you and and we'll work this together. If you would let it go for at least, if I ask for 30 days. And I promise you, I will stay with you in touch with them.
The other issue is that it's not on the agenda. We can't approve it tonight anyway. All we could do is a motion of support.
But you can't get a machine for a month anyway.
And you're saying that we won't need a motion of support. I trust Mr. Yagowski's judgment on this, and I think you can stay in contact with him every day if necessary.
Call me anytime you want.
I will.
I'm going to sit in your desk and get a picture taken.
Sure, you'll stay in contact with all of us.
I do.
Yes.
I just asked if anybody has a problem. Go ahead,
Go ahead, Mr.
No, my only comment is that we can find out in a week.
We're going to find out really quick, trust me.
Because April 1st, we have another meeting, short meeting, but we can find out in a week.
You'll find out before that, right?
So
She's going to go in there.
Part of the issue is a chain of command with a chain of custody, actually, with ballots and certified mail and,
It is a
and
bit
it's
of
a
an
little
issue.
different because it's an election office.
Yes.
They files a complaint, they didn't get this.
It puts me in an
In a
awkward
bind if you don't
position.
control the machine. Understand?
So if it goes bad in the next week, let us know because there is a meeting on the 1st, so.
Okay.
Hopefully it won't. I have a lot of confidence in Mr. Yagowski being able to
Okay.
pull this.
Mr.
I don't, but that's okay.
Mr. President, I would suggest that we put it on the agenda for the April 1st meeting, and we can always take it off that night, but we protect ourselves by adding it
You still got time for an
to that
appropriation.
agenda. Is
We
that
just can't
possible?
do-
We could put it on for a motion of support.
We can't appropriate.
Right.
Motion of-
And then the April 22nd meeting for,
To clarify, were you asking for an additional appropriation for this?
No.
funds for it?
But what we have learned is that we're putting roughly $37,000 a month into the general fund.
So that's still an appropriation.
Okay.
Because,
It's a transfer.
yeah.
Okay.
We pay,
Question for our legal counsel.
right.
Is there a way to protect her in the event this goes south? That instead of putting $3,000 a month in the general fund, she pays this $225 a month and deposits the rest in the general fund and keeps an accounting of the deposit for the.
Mr. Cunningham, I can't follow you. Can you start over? I'm sorry.
Okay,
I've had a long day.
I apologize. She said that they bring in approximately 37,000. So let's,
Well, but those are certified mail monies that are paid on pleadings and things like that. What you're talking about, you bring in $37,000.
It's a little bit of everything.
Right. So it's not. I mean, it's not like the recorder's office that's bringing in recording fees. It's different.
It is different.
Yeah. So
but my point is, it's all going to the general fund. If this doesn't work out and we need to get a machine in their office as quickly as possible, can we draw up a legal agreement that they deposit everything to the general fund like they're doing now, except $225 a month for a.
no.
They
No,
don't
they
control.
need to either find another place to pay it or come back for an additional appropriation. Yeah, sorry.
Hey, I know right now, if it goes south and there's an inconvenience, you can still take the Michigan and say, we haven't taken the ability to the end of the month because we can't appropriate it till, you won't be able to buy it to the end of April anyway.
Okay.
So either which way, we find out it doesn't go but trust me, I think something's gonna go south before that doesn't go.
And again, I feel like, and I feel like I keep saying this right now, but my concern isn't so much the primary election. It is the general election in November, and I want to make sure that
Good point.
we're not going to have any issues.
Is it possible, and I'm looking at the auditor, the attorney, and the clerk, to somehow create a non-reverting, I'm not sure how those funds come back into the auditor's office.
Well, so I don't.
Probably
but-
just a pool of money. But in other words,
most of these funds are coming from court costs and other costs that are going into the.
there's no way realistically to separate anything out.
I don't think so. I think it'll just be.
It's 6 1/2 dozen. It's going in there. Right. Okay. All right. Thank you.
I'd like to add the following comment. This is primarily for the elections. So are we planning to use it just for elections, or are you planning to use it for anything in your office?
I would use it for anything if it's
Certified
there.
mail that goes
Just-
up all the time. Yeah.
Because that changes a little bit of some of the thought process. Thank you.
And,
That's it.
and like I
just want to
stated
get clarity.
to at least one of you on the phone yesterday, I don't think anybody in our office would say, oh no, probation, you can't use this machine. Of course we wouldn't be like that. Oh, courts, you can't use this. No, it would be come on in and use the machine. So,
All right.
okay, thank you.
Another quick thing.
Adam.
Mrs. Bernie?
Oh.
No, you're fine.
Yes, sir.
That's a hard one to take. The information you have about the electronic information coming back for certified mail. Even though that we may not end up having to get a new machine, a new separate machine, it may be worthwhile looking at a cost reduction from going from Pitney Bowes to this other vendor. Could you send me that information?
Yes, sir.
And,
I appreciate
and could you, is there a way to calculate how many certified letters you actually send out in a year?
We did average. So
Just an average, so we got something to base that on.
yeah, so we average about 40 to 50 a month in our own clerk's office. That's not including Michigan City, or if the other offices in the court building would use the machine.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other department heads? Any other department heads? Any department heads on Zoom? I see a hand up.
Sorry, I didn't know if you wanted me to speak yet. Yes, hi, Prosecutor Fagan. I just want to let you know about a few things going on within our little neck of the woods. We had a number of audits over the last month or so regarding some of our programs. One of those, and I shared this news with, I believe, DiMartino and with President Novak regarding our VOCA grant. As you know, we have a 2-year grant. The upcoming cycle is we've already submitted our application, but as part of that grant, which funds 3 out of our 4 victim advocates in our office, we have an audit every so often. And as I shared with President Novak and Guy over there, they didn't find any issues with anything that we did regarding our program. So that's a good news. Unfortunately, we're still waiting to hear back as to funding decisions as how the federal budget will impact our VOCA grant. We will have an award letter sometime about mid-June, early part of July. That's a little inconvenient given it's budget time. And so we're still working our own process, trying to figure out some different number of ideas as to deal with any potential funding cuts from our grant. So I'll keep you guys involved. We also had a 4D audit that we're required to do every so often. For the most part, we did good. For the most part, we had good. There's always the subject of interpretation on 1 or 2 things, but for the most part, we're good. We found some new ways to get more money in some of our budget keeping processes, so that's good. And we have a number of people wanting to go to trainings and events that are coming up. All that will come either out of non-government, well, pretty much non-taxpayer funded or outside sources. So we're trying to do what we can to be good. And I've been talking with Randy and Scott Cooley and Skiat and a little bit of Guy there regarding the 5th floor move. Tomorrow, I'm going to be meeting with the people from Kemp's as to getting a final number on furniture so we can get an inventory list that's submitted. Still working out some of how that's going to interact with any of what's going on other levels regarding payment and stuff. But other than that, I have nothing else. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Any other department heads? Any other department heads? Hearing none, department heads now closed. Liaison reports. Justin?
Thank you, Mr. President. Two big things for this month. One of them was a meeting between myself, Councilman Karanka, and Councilman Novak with Amanda Laners from the Health Department. And then also related to that, getting training set up for the employee reclassification system and just getting us all more familiar with that. I'm glad that looks like that's moving forward and should be happening before next month's meeting. And then another big one, project for me this month was working on looking into our the interest that we're getting from our cash assets. I sent you all an email about that, so you're apprised. And Councilman Novak and I have a meeting with the treasurer tomorrow to talk more about that. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Mr. Karanka.
In addition to the meeting that Justin mentioned, and also there was a RDC meeting the 4th Wednesday of last month, and discussion regarding some insurance funding issues that we're working through right now between the council and the commission.
Thank you. Mr. Cunningham?
Real quickly, the MS4 board meeting about a week ago, you were in attendance with me at that meeting. I thought it was a tremendous progress being made in that department. And a lot of work going on with Community Corrections and Juvenile Service Center at this point in time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you. And I also, let me interrupt, Mr. President. I think we need to add Mr. Molinauer as president.
That I see him on there now, so.
So we should mark him as president. He has been president for quite some time.
Are you there, Mike? Mike Molinauer. Mike.
Are you not able to unmute it?
If you figure out how to unmute, call us back. Mr. Yagowski.
Thank you, Mr. President. There's two things that come up on, there's two things that come up on the agenda. The request for additional appropriation from lit public safety for equipment, cameras, and recording systems. That's kind of put under the 911, which is really not, but it's just by default there. The other one is the LaPorte County Board of Commissioners for the $115,000 for the courthouse renovation. So both these projects were, the county paid for an engineer to go and to look at these projects. This was because it was structured on the outside that was not completed from the commissioners. There were window cells, things, small areas, but still costly in its own nature. But under the request of the lit for public safety contract for the cameras and recording systems, there's a couple of doors that don't meet the codes that have to be in place right now. So those are just to replace that. And there's two cameras that don't show two different vehicles. Thank you. So right now they're smaller cost from our project, but if anybody have any questions, I can answer them.
Thank you, Mr. Yagowski. Mr. Rosenbaum?
Three things.
Wait, here he is. Mr. Auditor, could you quickly mark him present before he leaves again?
Councilman Mullenhour, calling the roll.
Yes. Now?
Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, I've been here since the beginning. I said present, but I thought you had understood that. So.
Do you have a liaison report?
Yeah.
You have a liaison report?
No, I don't. I'll pass. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Mr. Rosenbaum.
I have three things. FMEC, we are currently working on a long-term plan, so not just the short-term terms. We're currently, for the FMC, we're currently working on a long-term plan. So we're looking to see what buildings or what things we're going to do next, and then try and spread some stuff out over the next 5 years. And everything we're working on trying to make it economically viable so that things will pay for itself. It must as best as possible. Also, we've already discussed the other stuff for FMC, and we'll discuss more soon. RDC, there is also we lost a big project. Because of ownership, the potential ownership of some of the land by a foreign person. So that project is unfortunately would have meant a tremendous amount to our county, as it was going to be bringing in corn over rail, and every car that crossed over our switching station they would have paid for, had to pay a fee. So that was a huge loss, unfortunately. But Mitch Bishop is working on a 20-year plan. So that's another comprehensive plan countywide. So that's also big. We also, a few of us, Novak and I, met with New Carlisle Council, and their fire department had driven us around along with Matt Reardon and Mitch Bishop, and we got to see the new plants that are going in there. And there's a huge concern of housing and other projects that may need to go alongside that big growth that be coming in with some of those businesses. So that was another meeting. And then the last thing is that HR is now, as of March 4th, is fully staffed. So now we have, we're going to now see what our HR director can do. And we're looking forward to see where we can start making some plans to move forward in that area. That's it. Thank you.
I attended the RDC meeting we went out and met with not only New Carlisle, but St. Joe County officials were there. The school board superintendent was there. Some of their biggest concerns, and some people love to have these problems, but they've got so much growth over there, they're afraid they're going to have 4,000 employees just at one place. And I think the other building, there's going to be approximately 20 some buildings, 200 and some thousand square feet each for a data center that they're putting in. So they've got, and they think eventually, and the reason they're contacting us, and we're going to start meeting with them on a regular basis, they think it's going to spill over into LaPorte County. So, and if it's not the projects, it's going to be the housing and everything that we need there. So, but it's great to have this open dialogue with them. And it's an amazing the size of this development over there. So, attended the Extension Board's annual meeting last week, problem-solving core graduation, which I would encourage you, if you haven't been there, it's election year, so there's a few more people there, so it's always great. Talked about that, and the complex project, I think, somebody had mentioned, I think, our prosecutor mentioned that, we're getting close. We believe he'll be in by the end of the month. We're waiting on some furniture and some other things, and then the next floor and the next floor. So, it's really coming together. If you haven't seen it, please do. That's it. Correspondence.
There's no correspondence.
Thank you. Ordinances and resolutions. We have ordinance number 2024-02.
Oh, thank you. Oh my God.
What's your preference? What by title only?
Motion to read by title only.
Motion by Mr. Rosenbaum.
Second.
Second by Mr. Karanka.
Just pass it on.
By title only. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? By title only, please.
This is ordinance number 2024-02, an ordinance to establish a petty cash fund for adult probation.
This is the second reading.
Mr. President, motion to approve 2024-02.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Yagowski, second by Mr. Rosenbaum. Comment?
It's $300. That's it. So.
Any other comments? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. Next item is old business, would be Wagner, Irwin, and Shealy Association. I sent a document out to everybody with the, and I'd like a motion of support to move forward with that. Pardon?
Oh, okay. This is under old ordinance and resolution. Oh, it's old business. When we discussed it last time, what was our? I'm sorry, maybe I forgot. What was our initial?
This has been an ongoing thing that we've been. I mean, as far back as last year, we tried to get this training set up.
Just to make sure that we're talking.
So that's why it's just stuck there. So,
Mr. President, motion of support.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Yagowski, second by Mr. Keel. Motion of support. The training and to attend our April 22nd meeting is not to exceed $2,900. So,
Yes. Okay. I got you.
good.
Good.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you.
Mr. President,
Yes.
on your new business, that just put them all together. A, B, and C. Motion to approve.
There's a D. There's a
D.
D.
D. Motion approved.
So I'm going to read this. Consider approval of council president's authorization. This is to hire replacement positions for the surveyor's office, a drainage board, party chief, LaPorte County Juvenile Services, full-time and part-time cooks, LaPorte County Auditor, accounts payable clerk, and Superior 3 deputy clerk.
I'll second.
Seconded by Mr. Rosenbaum. Any questions?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Mr. Yagowski.
This has been brought up before. I'm not quite understanding this part, but I know I've asked for some information, but nothing's come to the council. The LaPorte school system, majority are here in LaPorte, they're in Michigan City also. The school system, we talked in the past, would be willing to give them some food, not say give them food, but they would have food allotted, they'd pick them up, they have food for the day. But for some reason, they said that the LaPorte school system's nutrition is not up to their standards. I'm just, as a quote unquote. And we're talking about a few people, like young people, 5 people for dinner. I know that we talked about this before. If you give a specific amount, it subcontracts out to any one of the restaurants, because you're looking at 5 meals, it's cheaper than having 3 employees. I don't get it. So I'm just going to say that I can't support this thing this time, because they will not get back to us and let us know why we can't think out of the box for a select few people, which they deserve the proper food. So let's get them the proper food. Let's don't employ 3 people for this type of system.
And And for the record, probably been a couple years ago now, the sheriff's department outsourced all their cooking because we were constantly
Yes, sir.
looking for cooks. And the same thing, we were constantly looking for nurses in there and with the medical things, and they outsourced that, and that's been working great over there. And we had tried to get the sheriff's people that do the cooking to also look at the juvenile center, but it did not work out.
Was the dietary standards that did not match, and the number of people for that group to do and add that on just didn't match either, was not effective, cost effective.
I guess the thing that surprises me, like I agree with Mr. Yagowski's, nobody's ever brought us back a price and said, "Hey, do this. This is what it would cost."
If it was my child and they're eating at my house, we're gonna do the best we can to give nutrition for our children. I am not denying they shouldn't get the best service they can get. I just say with 5 dinners, we can contract that out to a reliable source. That's anyway.
It kind of sounds like Mr. Yagowski wants to make a motion to get a quote for that.
Pretty good, I got you. I would be glad to.
Is that a motion?
If you make a motion, I'll go.
Well, how about if
Wait, excuse me. Hold on one second. You already have a motion out there.
He was having humor.
I was going to change it to a motion anyway, but all right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Motion to ask the juvenile services to get us a quote for what it would cost to outsource the kitchen staff.
Second.
With that, may I ask a friendly amendment? Sure. Mr. Yagowski chairs that?
Yes, I like that.
There you go.
Okay.
Because I mean, I think it's something that needs to be done. This isn't throwing him under the bus. It's something that we've worked on to get done.
Well, you're not really asking for information to outsource it. You're asking for information regarding the dietary requirements so you know what would need to be done, right? Because you're not looking for them to go out and get outsourced to a restaurant. You're trying to find the requirements that need, right? Is that
kind of a twofold?
It's kind of twofold. What is that? We have a budget coming up. Since it came up as conversation, we tried to do this last budget, but they told us we can't even use the school system food. I got really irritated the last time, so I kind of fell apart at the end. But so I want to get this thing done so we're prepared for our budgetary time and say, is this worth looking into at that point? So we're not going to make.
So who's the liaison for juvenile services?
I am.
So they're going to co-chair.
We'll work together. Thank you.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, motion passes. Before we move on to item number 2, there is an item number 3 that I would like to ask and to add, and that is the date. I would like the council to collectively come up with a date for the volunteer firemen's checks to be issued, so that it's collectively agreed upon. And just so that everybody knows, I emailed that form out, but got after Justin's suggestions, the form was sent out, and I think it looks good. So, and you've got a copy of it there. So that's the official form that'll be used. But I'd like to add that to number 3 if possible. Any
So we're
objections?
amending the agenda?
We're amending the agenda again.
I'll make that motion to amend it, and then somebody want a second? And we'll...
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. Move on. So number 2 is the LaPorte County Redevelopment Commission report. Carl Sender.
Good evening, President Novak, members of the County Council. I'm here to present the annual TIF report for 2023. And this is a new requirement passed by the General Assembly that effective this year, that in addition to the Redevelopment Commission getting a copy of this annual report, it also needs to be presented to the legislative body. And since your next meeting isn't until after April 15th, we thought it would be a good idea that if we could put it in tonight. So I am going to give you I told Mr. Novak I wouldn't give more than a 2 or 3 minute overview, and then happy to answer any questions. So the annual report kind of lists specifically what we're to do, lists the commission members, cash balances, revenue and expenditures, outstanding obligations, and all the parcels in the various tax allocation areas or the TIF districts. Page 3 is just a listing of the current members of the Redevelopment Commission along with the non-voting LaPorte County School Board member. Page 4 is the distribution of tax increment for our 4 allocation areas that presently are collecting tax increment revenues. So through the first installment was total $355,537.75. Second installment for November of 23 of $254,423.53 for a total $609,961.28. Pages 5 through 7 are just listing of the outstanding debt obligations. If you recall, back in 22, we issued tax increment revenue refunding bonds for the 400 North US 421 project, and that they have bonds outstanding of $4,047,000 as of the end of the year. I'm going to skip ahead to commission fund balances for the allocation areas of the 4 allocation areas. We started a beginning balance for all 4 of $906,358.65. Revenues for 2023, $706,386.23. Disbursements, $941,575.88 for an ending cash balance $671,169. Next page is just a quick overview of resolutions the commission passed this or considered this last year. Also attached is not a requirement for the annual report, but it is a requirement of the Redevelopment Commission to present information to the affected taxing units. We call it the overlapping units report. So that's kind of in there for your review as well, including a budget for 2024 that's going to be considered at the Redevelopment Commission meeting on Wednesday afternoon on page 13. The last section, beginning on pages 24 through 30, is just a listing of all the parcels for each of the allocation areas, starting with the 39 North area. We also subtotal what the incremental capture assessment is. Bottom page 24 begins Kingsbury Industrial Park allocation area. And then on page 27 is the US I-94 US 421 area number 1, and then area number 2 is on page 30, along with we added US I-94 US 35, which there is no incremental value at this point. So that is it in a nutshell. I'm happy to answer any questions, but I believe this would fulfill our regulatory or our obligation.
Thank you. Mr. Yagowski.
Hi, thanks, Mr. President. Mr. Sender, you have 2 listings for 94. Is one of them the project because it's been a while that we took for 400 going east from
area number 2?
Yeah, which one?
I think that was originally including the medical facility.
Right, correct. So it's east of.
I believe that's right, east. Yes.
One of those, 1 or 2 is one of those, right?
And I think number 1's on the west side.
And then we combined the bond when we.
So we pledged both areas to pay the 2022 bonds.
So if I may have with this, this was my question that came up in front of when Michigan City tried to acquire,
annex
the property. They said that we had no obligation to it, which I said, I believe we do have obligations to it.
We do.
You remember this conversation that you and I had? So this upsets me still more that they think that they could just come into a tip. We went into agreement with Michigan City to split that. It was $15 million to put 400 in many years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So then, since then, they acquired the gas station on the corner by use of
friendly annexation
because they said it was of a fact of the liquor license. They were able to get it in Michigan City. They got it doubled their value for the gas station. That's what had happened. What do we do with this whole project when they're still interfering with other projects along this corridor? well, since you've been involved in this as much, and I know you and I
Well,
talked.
I would probably defer to your attorney and also the redevelopment commission attorney as.
I mean, you work throughout the state, though.
I mean, clearly, I believe, my opinion is, as long as we have obligations, they can't come in and annex property.
Friendly or not.
Well, Mr. Yagowski, we had that issue last year. Remember when they
That's
were.
what I'm talking.
That's what he's
That's what I'm
referring
referring to.
Right.
Yeah, that's been.
Michigan City voted it down because we.
Well, we know they're actually building with us.
They're gonna be-
our
they're
TIF
gonna be-
obligation.
Right.
Because we. I went to
Correct,
meetings.
because we called them out on it.
Yes.
We just need to keep calling them out.
But I think Mr. Yagowski's issue is the gas station on the corner did a friendly annexation, and how is that allowed if we have debt there? And this was done.
That was before my.
This was
I
done.
understand.
This was kind of done under the radar, and everything. All of a sudden, poof! It's done. So
I guess we just need to know about these things in the future and raise it to their.
that's what we need to see if friendly annexation still qualifies to.
That's my question. You know, that comes in.
I'll get with Matt and we'll chat about that because that seems weird.
I don't believe that they would be allowed to do it if we have debt obligations.
Correct. We should be able to still get our
Justin might
tax
have
on
an
top
answer.
of it.
I persuaded.
An answer just to
I persuaded
separate motion.
the Michigan City Council to vote no, and I know it's still going on. Yes, I do know that, but I just don't want to be under pressure of this always coming up because they have brought them up that they've still some council members still believe they should take all the property that we have since developed because they say they put the sewer in, the water in, even though that's not they're not paying for it, and they're still going to get the funding from the money from the user fee.
But they would have to pay all the bond debt and possibly reimburse the county for what they've invested.
But it seems to be on a regular basis. We don't put our money into this so we can, as a joint venture, we don't expect our partners to do what they did. That's all.
Well, hopefully things are going to be better in Michigan City. That's our hope.
Hopefully.
With us.
Mr. Keel.
I mean, I suppose if the city is trying to annex in those properties and they believe that the property that they're trying to annex is amenable to it, they could just have them sign a no contest annexation waiver and then annex it in at the expiration of the TIF some years down the line. But
they could. And a lot of those properties, it's my understanding that when they did a sewer hookup, a lot of the properties had to sign those. It's a condition of, I think, Michigan City Sanitation running sewers outside of the county is you have to sign a thing that you will not find annexation if and when it comes. But the question that's a whole different.
Yeah, but they didn't sign. The individual properties didn't sign. They assigned those easements to us, and now we're working on assigning the easements to the people.
Anybody that hooked up, I think, had to sign
There's
up.
only two people that hooked up.
Right. There's only
So we're not looking of the majority of people. They didn't even get a tenth of what they were thought to.
So a few questions for Mr. Sender. One, I'm wondering if this report will be posted online on the RDC page on the county website so that people who are interested in learning more can read the report.
I'm sure we could ask the redevelopment commission on Wednesday.
Fantastic. And then I'm wondering if you can explain for the public, I think we probably have a good idea, but for people who might be watching this, the significance of having a TIF district, what does it mean to the other units of government? Because my impression is that when we create TIF districts, we're capturing that additional incremental assessed value, and about $609,000 a year doesn't go to the other units of government, be it schools, townships, cities, whatever. Is that accurate? And what might you add?
Yes and no. In part, the redevelopment commission is charged with redevelopment and economic development within counties, specifically these allocation areas. And so forming these areas, they can capture these revenues to create new jobs, assist with economic development, make infrastructure improvements, which the commission has been doing. And in many cases, just like the Love's truck stop, they wouldn't have came if the commission wouldn't have issued the bonds to put in the water and sewer lines out there. And so it's kind of the but-for test. So if it wasn't for these allocation areas, there wouldn't be no new revenues anyway. The other aspect is that most of units of government, except for the cumulative funds like our CCD, the funds are a max levy fund. And so if you would argue that, hey, they would have came anyway, this new growth, it's not really new tax revenue to them, it's new assessed value, except for the cumulative funds. And then that would just, in effect, reduce the tax rate. Now, the schools used to have the capital projects fund, which was a fixed rate fund, like the cumulative fund. And several years ago, this General Assembly eliminated the capital projects fund, and it became part of the operations fund, which is a max levy fund. So in theory, the schools aren't losing on any new revenues for capital projects in the future.
Just inside those TIF areas.
Right.
Thank you.
Yep.
Aren't you excited somebody actually wants to read an accountant report?
Nobody said they were gonna read it.
Yeah, no.
For the record.
And that was a
Yes,
very
if we
quick
post it,
overview. I
yes.
didn't get into a lot of the details. There's probably some additional topics we could talk about.
Circuit breaker caps and the impact.
Yes, exactly.
Definitely.
You're having a geekish moment.
You get excited with that.
You do. Somebody's gotta.
The number of hours that it takes to get that down right.
And if you could you autograph a copy for Justin?
Yes,
Be
please.
happy to. All right. Thank
you.
you very much.
Thank you, Carl.
Thank you, Carl.
Thank you. Next item is the one that we just added, is a date, collective date, to notify the volunteer fire departments if any council members want to be there to hand out the checks. There are 16 volunteer departments, and they would need to have this form filled out or fill it out there. Is there a date? Obviously, the sooner the better.
Where are you planning on wanting to do it?
Last year, I think we did it at the fairgrounds, which was this kind of a nice, easy place to.
It's easy for parking.
How about the 11th of April?
April 11th.
Can't do it after the 15th. No.
April 11th.
It's in the evening. It works for me.
It's a Thursday.
So what time would we do? 6 o'clock?
That works.
It's okay for me. Is it okay for you?
That okay with everybody?
It's okay with us.
That way volunteers can be there. Okay. So the 11th at 6 p.m.
Right now.
Do you have a current list? There's been several changes.
Then maybe not.
So I'll either get it to you or the Chiefs Association will send out a thing for the April 11th date to issue the checks, and we'll make sure that we have all those forms available. And it's the same form. I mean, I just want to confirm that we're all good with the same form.
Yep.
All right. So
Just let me know if you need me to do
we'll
something.
probably email those out ahead of time so that they can make sure it's filled out if they can or not, so. All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Even though we didn't have a motion or a second. I know, but I just want it official. All right,
Makes you feel.
thank you.
Mr. President, just a reminder, since you're going into appropriations, transfers, and requests, all appropriations tonight, because Mr. Mullenhour is online, will need a roll call vote.
Thank you.
Mike, get
Only appropriations.
Right.
Okay.
Mr. President,
Mr. Yagowski.
we had our meeting, and so I just got a chance to talk with Rhonda about this earlier. So I guess we're going to have to state that these 400 accounts are not for the rest of the year. They would be in a short period of time. Since they are 400, so we had not generated 400 accounts in the past. So these votes would be a 30-day vote time if ever comes up for a vote. They don't have to the end of the year to spend the money. We don't have 400 accounts. They come to us if they have 400 accounts, but because they're putting 400 accounts down here,
That makes sense.
we're saying that this is good that our vote will be for 30 days. And if they do, they have to come back again and ask for it again.
So I guess I'm good with that part. I guess the thing that I need clarification on is some of these, I'm just looking at the ones that are stating that they're going into 400 accounts.
These 40,000s or 400s, I guess.
Right, the camera system is not in a, so like So the animal shelter is actually not going into 400 accounts, correct?
No, it's a 20 account.
Right.
There's none on that list for them.
So the sheriff would need to come back.
If it goes past the period of time,
Well, I don't think the intention was to spend it that fast, but
well,
I'm not, this isn't,
this is different.
I'm just looking at,
And also LaPorte County 911 with the equipment's a 400 account.
correct.
I guess I'm wondering what's your logic behind the 30-day?
We never had 400 accounts. The 400 accounts are supposed to be coming to us every month that they want to do that, and we've never had a problem in the past. Now they're putting us a 400 account. This isn't going from now to the end of the year. If they're going to spend the money, they need to spend the money right away. Just because we're doing this for this paperwork is not changing the way we do our business.
These are requests from the departments, not our paperwork.
No, we don't do 400 accounts, so we never did. So I can pull all my paperwork.
I appreciate that. We did not do this. That's all I'm saying.
So-
So it's whatever the department says to you or what you say to them is your decisions always.
And to Mr. Galski's point is, if we're funding a fund with $40,000 in a 400 account, and then does that mean a department head can go out and just buy $40,000 worth of computers and not come back and ask? Yeah.
That is what that means. That's exactly true.
So
I can ask the sheriff if he did it. I don't when he comes up, or 911 or whatever. But we never had this issue before. But I don't want it ongoing. This has to either if you have a project, the project has to be voted on and we approve it. It's not a normal 400 account. You do it. It's for the whole year. So if I gave you $400 to the sheriff's department, he would have all year long if we budget it that way. We don't budget it that way. We took those out 20 some years ago for that not to happen. So if you can imagine how much work that is for their office if you don't know what month they're going to spend the money. That's why it's new to me, and that's why when they come up, I'll ask that question. But we had a meeting about this, so I'm just discussing about the meeting that we had about it.
your thoughts? Hearing none? Let's move on. Appropriations, transfers, and requests. LaPorte County Parks Department, this is a transfer. Requesting to transfer from the park non-reverting fund to miscellaneous claims account.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Karanka, second by Mr. Rosenbaum. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. The next item is permission to spend.
See transfer.
Can we transfers, just appropriations.
Just appropriation.
Permission to spend? Should we do it on a permission?
That's an appropriation, yes.
Okay.
That's an appropriation?
The permission to
Permission to
spend.
spend is an appropriation.
Permission, an appropriation is, are you asking me? I'm sorry, if not, I'll ignore.
If it's an appropriation, then you do a roll call.
So it's not.
That is an appropriation, yes.
What is an appropriation? The transfer or the permission to spend?
A transfer is not, but everything else is. By definition, an appropriation is the authority to spend. You're giving them the authority to spend.
So the first item that we just approved did not require a roll call because it was not an appropriation. Thank you.
Right. He's asking about the second one.
Yeah. The second one would be.
See, requesting an appropriation.
Next one is the adult probation. Requesting an appropriation from adult probation supplemental fund for petty cash account. This one is.
Motion to approve.
Not to exceed $300. Motion by Mr. Rosenbaum.
Second.
Second by Mr. Karanka. So this one is we're appropriating the $300 into there. All those in favor say aye. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you.
Councilman Rosenbaum.
Aye.
Councilman Yagelski.
Aye.
Councilman Keel.
Aye.
Councilman Mullenauer.
Aye.
Councilman Karanka.
Aye.
Councilman Cunningham.
Aye.
Councilman Novak.
Aye.
7 ayes.
Thank you. Next item is LaPorte County E911 Center requests an additional appropriation from LaPorte County E911 Fund for a shift supervisor position in the amount of $3,548.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Rosenbaum. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Karanka. Would you like to discuss?
No.
I have a couple questions. In reading through the material, this is like quality control,
Correct.
but this woman is only gonna work from 8 to 4.
Correct.
So who's doing quality control from 4 to 8?
To do quality control or quality assurance, you have to, it takes about 2 hours per call to do that. And the supervisor will be going through, she'll go through the CAD, she'll go through the call, she'll go through any paperwork, and she will evaluate the call. And it takes approximately 2 hours to do this.
Some of them are recorded. They're recorded, so
Yes, they are recorded, and that's what they go through, Mr. Cunningham.
So, if I may add, so these things that the supervisor is gonna go through, the quality control supervisor is gonna go through, these can be from any shift at any time.
Correct.
Because they're all
Not just
recorded.
one shift, not just daytime.
Does that
It'll
help
be
answer
through any shift.
My question.
At any time.
Another question. I'm wondering, is this is taking an existing position of what level and converting it into a shift supervisor position?
The position is from dispatcher to supervisor.
Okay, so we'll have one less dispatcher and one more shift supervisor. So it's same number of employees, just different classifications. And the job duties for this person will be different than their existing job duties, correct?
Correct.
And then
And they will also, if there's a problem on the floor, or if something goes wrong, they also will sit in and answer
Yeah,
the
naturally.
calls.
And do we have an amendment to the salary ordinance to effectuate this?
we would have to amend the salary ordinance. Correct? Mr. Attorney?
Yes.
We shouldn't have taken it off the agenda. Just kidding.
Well, we didn't see an amended one, did we?
No. We might have something else so at our April meeting, we can amend it.
Okay.
No, with this change, would it require backfilling of the dispatcher position?
I'm sorry, what?
Would this require you to backfill the dispatcher position since you're
Gonna
taking?
create overtime?
Hopefully not.
Okay.
And the long-term intention is not to grow the workforce, it's to stay the same, it's just a change of duties.
Well, we do have several, yes, it's a change of duties for this one person.
But your intention is not to have to come back to us next month and say, we need another dispatcher
No.
because
No,
we
no,
created a
no.
supervisor.
No, that is not my intention.
All right.
Any other comments?
Question, it's time.
This requires roll call?
There's no question.
This is an appropriation out of their own money?
Out of our 1222 count surcharge.
Councilman Cunningham.
Nay.
Councilman Keel.
Aye.
Councilman Karanka.
Aye.
Councilman Mullenhour.
Nay.
Councilman Rosenbaum.
Aye.
Councilman Yagowski.
Nay.
And Councilman Novak.
Aye.
4 ayes, 3 nays. Motion passes.
So do you amend the ordinance the next
month?
Well, you
month
don't
then?
even have to be here for it.
Okay.
Let me ask a question. When would it be effective by for payroll? Or do we not worry about that yet?
So,
Effective immediately.
I'm sorry?
Immediately, I guess.
Yeah, immediately upon the passage of the salary ordinance, right?
So after the April meeting?
I suppose so.
since it's coming from our account, couldn't we
Is
do
that-
it?
Mr. DiMartino, your thoughts?
In the past, you haven't done it that way, but it's your call.
Why would, yeah.
How was it done previously?
We paid a lot of people and didn't pass the salary ordinance till after the first of the year, so.
Yeah, in the past, you haven't done that.
I personally would think it would be on passage of the council passing it, because
So like tomorrow, as dumb as that sounds, but like tomorrow as opposed to 3/14 or
Probably the new pay period, whatever, when does the new pay start?
yeah, do it on the pay period.
beginning of the new pay period?
We've always done that.
Thank you.
Everybody good with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Next item, request an additional appropriation from Lit Public Safety. This is for, or Riverboat Wind Tax or ARP for equipment, cameras and recording systems. This is for the cameras under the bridge and Around the,
here and out here in the front,
right.
14 cameras.
So some of the discussion that we had is, why is this coming up under yours and not IT's?
And well, I guess it's because I don't think IT handles.
You monitor them, but
We do, and some of the cameras that we monitor, if you've been in the center, obviously, and you've seen what shows up on those.
yeah,
I mean, we are in desperate need.
they definitely need some upgrading.
Mr. President, make a motion out of public lit.
Also, our fob system that we have is from 1998, and it can no longer be upgraded. So we definitely.
Okay, I apologize, Mr. President, because of the amount of funding, we'll do it out of Riverboat, please.
Motion by Mr. Yagowski out of Riverboat, second by Mr. Rosenbaum. Any other questions?
Yeah, I'm not opposed to this at all. I think it's definitely needed. I've seen the cameras. It's a good project to do. Given that this is something that could have been paid out of public safety lit, though things are tight, and just, your department has asked for multiple capital expenditures. Have you guys looked into creating a capital projects plan so we can kind of see what type of major contracts and major expenditures you're forecasting in the future to give us a better opportunity to plan things?
I had not thought of it, but sure, we can always do
Some of your maintenance fees and cycles when they come up, and your phone system when it comes up, and
Fastest way to my heart is a capital projects plan. So, love to see one.
We can do that.
any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Councilman Yagowski.
Roll call.
Yes, sir. Councilman Yagowski.
Sorry.
Nay.
Councilman Mullenhour.
Aye.
I'm sorry.
Aye.
Thank you. Councilman Cunningham.
Nay.
Councilman Rosenbaum.
Aye.
Councilman Karanka.
Aye.
Councilman Novak.
Aye.
And Councilman Keel.
Aye.
5 ayes, 2 nays, motion passes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next item is LaPorte County Juvenile Service Center. Permission to spend, is this an appropriation also? So,
Motion to approve first.
motion to approve the first one, can I read it?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Request an appropriation from JSC Food Program Fund. We're appropriating the money for all these, just so everybody knows. There's no set spending, there's no item that they turned in saying we're buying this, correct? That we're just appropriating.
On that form,
We're
yes.
appropriating a fund so that they can spend it.
These were funds that were not previously appropriated,
So
correct?
they're all lumped together.
None of them are additional appropriations as the last one was. They're just transfers, so to speak. Even though they're appropriations,
We're giving them permission to spend it.
correct. Out of their own funds.
Correct.
They probably used to be in the miscellaneous claims is why
Right.
they're redoing this.
So why does one of them 3120 when the rest are 2021?
But there's a difference in supplies and then services and charges. 200 accounts and 300 accounts.
So if they know the specifics, I wonder why they don't just list it then.
They don't know, they may not know the specifics, but they know that they have so many in supplies and then so many in services and charges. It used to all be under 20200 miscellaneous claims, where they didn't know any specifics.
I still think we don't know any.
We don't know any
So I
more than
think
we did before.
We don't know any more than we did before. It should be part of the budgeting process is what it should be.
Yes, so I think we should just put it as 20021 and put them all together.
But there's a distinction between supplies versus services and charges.
Figure it out and come talk to us, and this isn't that hard. We're complicating this thing way too much.
No, we're not.
Except at the annual financial report, thing accurate too.
So,
We just can't.
was that a motion to do all three of them at once?
Vacation.
All
They're
three.
all out of different funds, though.
You can still do it.
You can do all three, then I will make the motion for all three.
It's permission to spend. So motion by Mr. Rosenbaum. Is there a second? Or you want to do them separately?
No, second. That's fine. Second.
Second by Mr. Yagowski. Is there any other questions or comments? Thoughts?
For as little information as we have, these are some very specific values. You know, they're not a bunch of zeros. You're, ending in $68.17.
That's how much they have in the account.
Okay.
They're appropriating the entire
balance.
account so that they can spend it. Where in the past, they could spend it. Now we have to appropriate it.
But they didn't realize the laws were in place in the past and they weren't doing it, yes.
And a permission to spend is the same as an appropriation.
Absolutely.
All right.
Councilman Novak.
Aye.
Councilman Keel.
Aye.
Councilman Rosenbaum.
Nay.
Councilman Yagowski.
Nay.
Councilman Cunningham.
Aye.
Councilman Mullenhour.
Aye.
Councilman Karanka.
Aye.
5 ayes, 2 nays, motion passes.
Next item is the LaPorte County Animal Shelter. Same thing. This is their donation account.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Cunningham, second by Mr. Karanka. Roll call. Please.
Councilman Cunningham.
Aye.
Councilman Mullenhour.
Aye.
Councilman Keel.
Aye.
Councilman Novak.
Aye.
Councilman Yagowski.
Aye.
Councilman Karanka.
Aye.
And Councilman Rosenbaum.
Aye.
6 ayes, 1 nay, motion passes.
Next item is the juvenile probation, permission to spend. But this is, we got to appropriate it just as before, request an appropriation from Circuit Court Juvenile Probation User Fund.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Karanka, second by Mr. Cunningham. Roll call, please.
Councilman Cunningham.
Aye.
Councilman Karanka.
Aye.
Councilman Rosenbaum.
Aye.
Councilman Keel.
Aye.
Councilman Yagowski.
Nay.
Councilman Mullenhour.
Aye.
And Councilman Novak.
Aye.
6 ayes, 1 nay, motion passes.
All right, next item is LaPorte County Sheriff's Department. All three of these are the same way. One is appropriation from asset forfeitures in the amount of $126,933. The other one is the Sex and Violent Offender Fund, in the amount of $20,000, and then the misdemeanor fund in the amount of $695.
If I can say, the misdemeanor fund is usually for something specific, not a general appropriation. And I'll find their form.
We still need to appropriate. We're gonna, it's a permission to spend.
Correct. The misdemeanor fund is for the jail and jail items only, such as when we purchased a new washer and dryer.
Right.
Misdemeanor funds paid for that for the jail. We had to upgrade the electrical for the new washer and dryer. We can use misdemeanor funds for that. We had to replace the LaPorte garage door. We went halves in with building maintenance. We can use misdemeanor as long as it's jail specific related. We can use misdemeanor funds for
Mr.
it.
Yagowski.
So you decided to list these two accounts under 400 account?
I did not decide to do this.
She said, so somebody did.
Somebody did.
Okay. So you have no, this is going to be spent at a period of time. It's not now to the end of the year, right?
I've got no intentions for any immediate future of spending some stuff like the sex and violent offender. Those are just some costs that come up throughout the year that we usually normally spend out of. I will say with the asset forfeiture fund, we had recently applied for a grant from Homeland Security for new x-ray machines for the courthouses, and we've learned after we applied for it and was awarded for it, it was a, I'm not going to say matching grant, a reimbursable grant. I was going to use the asset forfeiture funds to initially pay for the new x-ray machines, and then the state of Indiana would reimburse it once we got it back. So, but as far as any big projects other than the grant for the new x-ray machines, we've got nothing on the horizon. But apparently this is something that we have to do.
Well, okay, but if they didn't ask for it and you didn't ask for it, then I'll make a motion that it all comes out of 3120. They all go to 3120 account, all three of them. That way you're still going to be able to spend it, and that's fine.
That makes sense right now.
That's your motion?
That's my motion.
Second.
Is there a 3120 account in each one of those?
No, this is just something we never did before, so let's just, they didn't do it, and they didn't do it, so let's put it under 3120 account.
You can pass that down, because we don't do it.
We're at 120.
Where's that one?
Could the auditor's office or Mr. DiMartino give us some clarification about the difference between 300s and 400 accounts and why
300s
why are we
aren't they?
Yeah, why are we transitioning to appropriating things down to 400s? What do other counties do?
I can't talk to other counties, maybe Ms. Graves can.
I don't know about other counties, but 400 accounts are for capital purchases. So if it's a capital purchases in our office, it just has to come out of the classification that it is. If it's a supply, it needs to be in a 200. And it's in the statute, it's in the state board. I mean, you can come in and read anything you want. You can Google and read anything you want. But it has to be in the right classification for us to pay the bill. So if they don't need it all in 400s, which is what's on that form that was turned in, then they don't need it all in 400s. That's up to their department.
Well, how did that form get turned in, Sheriff?
I did not turn in a form. Matter of fact, I saw that I was on the agenda tonight when I read the email.
So, how did this come about?
That's what.
I received the email from the administrative assistant and I put it on the agenda.
Where's Ms. Crosland?
Not Ms.
Application.
That's not the person.
That wouldn't be the one. That would probably be Connie Trojanowski. And a lot of that's just done internally, more housekeeping. But as far as me specifically asking for an additional appropriation for from the council tonight, I did not put us on the agenda.
So wouldn't
None of these are listed as additional appropriations.
I just want to make
Appropriations, which are technically,
Back if they have
well, we always call permission to spend.
right, correct.
So technically, if you don't have any plan to spend any of these right now, you could just come back anytime you're ready to spend them, and we can approve them.
in the back.
I thought that's the way we've always done it.
do. Thank you.
Okay.
So I'm gonna put under, my motion stands, it goes under 3120 account. If he needs to come back, he's more than welcome to, and we've done this in the past successfully. There's no reason to complicate this thing. Nobody's asking for it, so.
I don't know about this transaction. I know a lot of them though are having it.
Individually go, whatever.
I'm talking about something different, I'm sorry.
I'll go for it. So that's the motion.
I'm just talking about how some of the departments, one of them budgeted so that they could spend it. I can't speak for this one, and I don't know if that's why Connie turned it in, but that's why some of them have been turned in. I'm not speaking for his department whatsoever.
If you pass this way, my understanding is you're specifically earmarking these monies where they can only be spent for other services and charges.
Yeah, and if he comes back, we can always transfer or permission to spend, however you want to write it.
Or reverse it or whatever.
However you want to write it down.
Claims adjustment.
Whatever the month is that we do that stuff.
Was there a
Graves,
second?
could I ask you,
Yes,
I'll second it.
I did already, but
Go ahead.
when did the law change or when is our interpretation of the law? What is the time frame for why we're doing this so differently than we did 3 years ago?
The law hasn't changed. I can't speak for that as to what was done 3 years ago. I wasn't here. But the law hasn't changed. It's been that way for many years. It was just done incorrectly.
Ooh, I don't.
Then let's vote.
I don't think that.
I would ask if Mr. Yagelski would.
President, let's just vote.
I don't know whether.
I would ask if Mr. Yagelski would consider adding to his motion to ask that Mr. DiMartino reach out to the State Board of Accounts and get clarification about the purpose of the 400s, whether we should be using them, so we have some sort of clarity about the purpose.
The purpose we did it here is, the sheriff's always been, this sheriff, Mr. Moldenhauer, everybody has done, they come back, they've always had a problem with it. This all goes into 3120 accounts, and if you have something, please come to us and we're glad to pass it. We have never turned you down, that I remember. So I like to keep my motion the way it is and not worry about it.
That works for us. I only wrote down what was sent to me, so
And it doesn't make any sense to me.
I just want to. The only thing that regarding your comment that things weren't done right. How many times have we been written up? The council been written up for these. How many times by the State Board of Accounts, if we were doing it improperly, were we
I'll
written
Google
up?
it tomorrow and let you know. I don't know the answer.
To my knowledge, I don't think we have.
We've been at the exit interviews, it never has happened.
So I guess when you say that things were done wrong or improperly, everybody up here takes offense to that. So
I have a
I
chart of
take a little
accounts.
bit of offense to that as well too, because in the 8 years as chief deputy and my last year as sheriff, I've never been written up for
It has more to do with our office than any of you, but the chart of accounts was in place in 2012. And that is on their website. I can share it with you, which I know that I've shared with the departments. I can't speak for anything other than what's in writing from the state.
So what's your pleasure on the sheriff? We got a motion and a second to put it in a 3120 account.
You can only spend it on that stuff, right?
Further questions or comments?
Sure.
I mean, to my point before, I think if one person is saying that we're doing it wrong and others feel like we've done it this way for forever and we should keep doing it that way, let's get an answer about whether or not it is truly wrong from the.
So can I talk to the whole answer thing? Law is up for interpretation and statutes up for interpretation, and so there's never ever one specific way. If the auditor's office wants something done a certain way for their bookkeeping, you just do it. It's, you know what I mean? Because all this is all doing is just causing strife, and we're not getting anywhere. If you need to put it in a 300 account, put it in a 300 account. If you need to put it in a 4, you're still going to get what you're getting. This is just old school, new school, and it's just, otherwise we're just going to keep on, coming up against these and buttressing against these things. And if that's something that you want to do, then let's just file a declaratory judgment action, get it sorted out, and we'll be in court for 2 years trying to get an answer because nothing is done. So, I mean, the whole purpose, lawyers will never be in business if statutes and administrative laws were as set and as solid. The reason why these specific things are written the way they are is because there is some wiggle room and there is some interpretation. So if the auditor's office wants you to put it in a 300 account because they feel more comfortable with that, it doesn't change the spending instead of pushing against it. It just doesn't look. I hear the angst in all of us, and it shouldn't be that way. My point. If you want me to do something, I'll do it. If you want to file a deck action, I'll do it. But this has just been going on now, and it has to stop.
I don't disagree that it doesn't change the way that they spend the money, but at the end of the day, it does put guardrails on it, and we should want to be able to exercise as much control as the fiscal body as we can. And when we put it in a box of 100s, 200s, 300s, or 400s, it means that department is only able to spend within the purposes allowed for that box. But we say that we've appropriated money in the 400 accounts, the sheriff can't go and use it for postage or use it for some sort of service contract. He's locked into that 400 account. If he wants to use it for that, he has to come back and ask for our permission. And so we're putting it in those boxes and protecting that its use is what we intended.
But Mr. Yagowski clearly said that they did away with they wouldn't use an
council decided to do away with it.
The 400 accounts because they wanted accountability for people, that they wouldn't for capital purchases, that they wouldn't spend money until they came to the council for doing it. So that's what the historian for the council has said.
That's what motion is. So.
And I get that at one point, probably rather than the council putting the money up front in the budgeting process and saying, here's a bunch of money for capital expenditures and we don't know what you're going to use it on necessarily, they probably said, no, we want you to seek additional appropriations from the 400s and we'll make a case-by-case decision whether or not we think that's warranted. I would bet that this was probably done in a time of fiscal hardship where we were trying to be austere in how we spent money and keep it tight. And over time, this has worked to us not planning our 400s, our capital expenditures. The long run ramifications of this is that we aren't going to fully plan for large capital expenditures in this county. And we're going to get surprised by big expenditures that we just didn't see coming. That's why I'm passionate about capital projects plans, so that we're forecasting these out, putting them in the budget and knowing that they're coming, rather than departments coming to us in the middle of the year and being like, hey, I need to do a $400,000 project that's capital related, maintenance, whatever, and us being surprised by it.
I disagree. I think we still encourage all the department heads during budget hearings to come to us with any projects that they have coming up and everything else.
So every year. And that's very smart to do because you need to know what's going to happen in the next year or two, right. Even though there's always emergencies that come up.
Of course.
But you really do need to plan that out, and we haven't done that. Partially because we had the issue with the property taxes, in 2010, 2011, 2012. It took us a while to catch up, and then we had COVID, and then we just we've constantly just reacted as opposed to being proactive. So we understand that. But we all need to come together and try to, just try to work through this.
I'm going to say this. At the last budget process, we did start talking to all of the departments about capital improvement plans. Okay, this is not something new. We did start it. Yes, we did put in for the vehicles in particular, I believe, that came out of public safety lit. We did put that into the budget because we knew we were going to spend that amount of money this year, and that has to be laid out in advance because because signed documents were made for those purchases. So we did try to do that, so this way we didn't have to go through the process of having to come back here when we knew we were going to approve it anyway. And there were other things that had to get put into the budget because we didn't have funds available in like Riverboat to be paying $5 million for all sorts of different things. So we had to start putting those in the budget as well. So to say that we didn't do it in the past, we're starting the process, and it's a process that takes time. It takes time with the education of all of our department heads. We have sometimes changing department heads, whatever. That's all part of the natural course. So yes, I agree with you. Love to see this, and we've been talking about it for years, and we're starting to get that process going more and more, and that's what we started to encourage a lot, and we're getting that, so we'll get there. And I just keep on encouraging everybody to think of that and do that. Thank you.
I guess the thing is I don't have a problem if we do it this way or if we do it that way. Just tell us which way to do it. But we're going to do this every year. We're going to go through every one of these accounts. So we talked at a previous meeting about creating a budget so that when we looked under the sheriff's office, you would see the forfeiture fund. So we would approve that during budget hearings, and it's done.
If the departments would agree to that, that would be awesome for everyone.
The sheriff standing here stating he doesn't even know why he's asking for these right now.
Mr. President, I would love for that to be done all at one time to be done and over with.
Yeah.
That would
You see what I'm saying? It's not
department heads or elected officials from repeatedly coming here every month for this, what I'm going to call a housekeeping item.
right. Well,
I don't know anything about 701-109 why that was turned in. I can't speak to that, nor can I speak to what they requested. I don't know what's on that form. An assumption I have on the sex and violent offender is if she wants, I'm assuming, so I'm not going to speak for Connie, but if there is a payment to be made, she cannot make it without permission to spend.
Right.
So by having this, that was allowing her to go through, which is what I'm assuming. But if you don't want to approve any of them, we don't need it by any means. I mean, I'm not saying if you don't want to. If you want to, forget about it and not do this at all. We don't need any of this unless they want to write a check or unless they want to make a payment. But we don't need any of this
but
until they want to pay from that account. Because they need permission from the council to spend.
Correct. Or if it needs to be budgeted.
Which is the same.
So all these items, I guess this is my request, to clean this all up. These requests that we're going through and doing these. So 7109 would be added to the sheriff's.
Yes, absolutely. It's already been done.
1192 will be added to it.
Absolutely, already been done.
So this isn't going to be a ongoing yearly thing is what we're talking about.
Not if the department is willing to do it. Yep,
Well, it
that's
will,
correct.
because the sheriff now is going to use it for the x-ray machine. But at some other point in time, he's going to be using it for something else. So he'll still have to come back.
Yeah. But only at special uses like you're using.
Only at special uses, not every month that.
We're approving the donation fund for EMS, 911, the animal shelter, so that they can just spend out of there. They don't have anything they necessarily want to spend, but they can't do anything until it's approved.
But that's what these are for too. They're both for the full, if I'm thinking correctly, I have at the top one, 70109, but they're both for the full totals.
Correct.
And I'm assuming Connie did that so you wouldn't have to come back.
Correct.
But again, it doesn't matter. We don't need anything except when you go to pay something, it needs to come here first. So if you want to wait 2 months, whatever that timing is, then wait till then. We were trying to make it easier on the second one.
Technically, if the sheriff wanted to spend out of there, we can just tell all departments to spend out of these funds. You need to come to us and ask for an appropriation out of those funds.
Correct.
Instead
That's
of us appropriating the whole amount.
Yes. So then they would need to come every time they want to write a check. That would be correct.
It's whatever you want. Well, not whatever, but.
To clear up some confusion also, and this is probably a routine matter of course thing for your staff to do, but your signature is like signed on these, so that's probably why some people think it came from you and why some maybe don't.
Well, you're the boss. That's what happens.
Buck stops here.
You got people.
And I just want to clarify that the sheriff isn't going to misspend money on postage or anything like that.
You don't-
The sheriff
Didn't
is
think
going
you would.
to. I just want to.
You guys are on the ball.
This comment wasn't about that.
And I don't know that we do it as a thing of fear of someone misspending. We will get in trouble. One of the things that we're being audited for is, are we paying under the correct classifications? And we haven't for a long time. So we're learning better, we're doing better.
Call the vote, please.
Are we clear on the motion?
I believe we are.
All three accounts will go to the 3120 account.
30120.
30120.
Councilman Rosenbaum.
Aye.
Councilman Novak.
Aye.
Councilman Cunningham.
Aye.
Councilman Mullenhour.
Aye.
Councilman Yagowski.
Aye.
Councilman Keel.
Nay.
And Councilman Karanka.
Aye.
6 ayes, 1 nay. Motion passes.
All right, thanks, Ron.
Yeah, capital purchase.
Next item is LaPorte County Board of Commissioners requests an additional appropriation
To prove the wrong.
Michigan City Courthouse renovation bond fund 4260 for other capital purchases. I think Mr. Yagowski spoke of this.
Or is there something else?
Yes, we talked about, this would be the structure that has to be fixed on the lower end of the windows and the sills, and that did not get addressed during the renovation because it was exterior.
The 400?
No, you can.
It can go in there because it's going to be spent.
Yeah, that's what, I'll make the motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Rosenbaum,
Second.
second by Mr. Karanka. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Councilman Yagowski.
Aye.
Councilman Keel.
Aye.
Councilman Cunningham.
Nay.
Councilman Rosenbaum.
Aye.
Councilman Novak.
Aye.
Councilman Mullenhour.
Aye.
And Councilman Karanka.
Aye.
6 ayes, 1 nay. We do have an item, Mr. President. We had one problem with the previous vote. We just want to inform you about this. The $695 for the door, the integrator doors in the jail, we consider to be a capital item because it's long lasting. And since you approved all the money to be in the other services and charges, we won't be able to pay for that item.
Is
the RSF unless
is it they replacing a door, or are they replacing, is it software? And do you know, Sheriff?
The integrator system is the electronic key fob system.
Right. So is it are we making is it a service?
That's not long term.
So that's a 3.
The 3.
So you're not replacing a door, you don't have a broken door.
A physical door.
Sorry.
The integrator system.
Integrator doors in jail. We thought it was a long-lived capital item, so it's okay. Thank you.
No problem. Next item is LaPorte County Building Maintenance and FMEC requests an additional appropriation from ARP for infrastructure at the fairgrounds in the amount of $280,000. State your names, please.
Cheryl Listinsky, Director of Facilities. I'm here on behalf of Building Maintenance and FMEC. I'm here to request appropriation for $280,000 for FMEC. And some of the items on the list are campground electric, fence painting, the conservation roof repair, and line painting.
Thank you.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
I'll let him do a second. Let him go.
Motion by Rosenbaum, second by Yagowski and Mullenhour. On the question.
You have some questions. You want to
go first?
Go ahead. First one was this project or these projects that are contained in here, were they bid out properly following state guidelines?
Okay, so I'm recently in this position, so I would like to refer any of those questions to our consultant for FMEC, Larry Lewandowski.
Thought he was an attorney.
Good evening, Council. It's a pleasure to see you again. Larry Lewandowski, LaPorte County Project Management. I'm the consultant for the FMEC. Mind if I approach you?
Doug Beachy, their lawyer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Sir. As you can see, those are the pre-bid agenda meeting minutes. All the correspondence that was done for the campground electric, which came back, that's the 188, Mr. Keel. You can see we did file the guidelines. We reached out to 4 different contractors. It was a mandatory pre-bid. 2 contractors were present for the pre-bid meeting. In the packet I showed you, it showed our correspondence by email. It was read receipts, and we have in there also the mandatory pre-bid sign-in sheet of everybody that was present for that.
Fantastic. I love it. Very thorough.
Okay.
Who was the winning bidder for that?
Marcus Electric was voted on as the winning bidder. The bid, just to be open here, the 2 bids did come in. We had Marcus Electric at 188. Higher Electric was at 181. The difference of it is that there was a stipulation in their bid that they were not able to complete the job in the timeline that was presented. There is a deadline of June 14th that it needed to be completed by.
Thank you. Another question, and I'm not sure who this would be directed to from FMEC or building maintenance, but does FMEC have a kind of a timeline of different projects that it wants to do in the future? I know you guys annually approach us for funding for capital projects, and I'm kind of wondering what is the long range vision here so we know where it's going.
I'll answer. That's why we're having this comprehensive meeting once a month, is to look at a 1 year, 5 year, 10, 15, 20-year plan for the grounds, and we're meeting. We meet the first Wednesday of every month, and
A ton of people in that room.
so it's progressing along. So that's what we're working on. So
I think my last question is, and I talked with Councilman Rosenbaum, who's the treasurer for FMEC yesterday, just so that we have kind of a better idea about where FMEC money is being spent, particularly since there's, I believe, about $40,000 in this package that's just kind of towards miscellaneous items, I think was kind of how it was described. Could I get a copy when it's available of FMEC's like annual finances, just kind of like what's coming and going out? So
We're looking to do a presentation at our April meet. Yeah, it is on. We're looking to try and do a presentation at our April meeting, so that information will be presented there, and then can certainly give it to you once it's approved.
Great, thank you.
Definitely.
That's something we're trying to get a little bit better at, and we do have a lot more detail now with the way Joy Ziegler's handling things. So.
Thanks.
And the other thing I want to add about the improvements at the campground specifically, the improvements to campground, FMEC is paying for the water and the sewer pipe that's going in there. So it's about $28,000.
The President, to not interrupt, but that has not been included. That's part of that $44,000, Mr. Keel. That is it. Just I did not have the exact number there, so I did not want to put something that I couldn't put exactly.
Gotcha.
So the other thing is that the Fair Board has already bought 2 transformers and 36 pedestals at a cost of come on. You're not going to yell it out from the back of the room, so.
Well, you can hear it.
Yeah.
Won't be on camera. Once again, Brett Kessler, Treasurer, LaPorte County Ag Association. As of today, LaPorte County Ag has put in $31,977.82 towards the additional electrical project out
That's
at the
it.
fairgrounds for the pedestals.
Right.
And those include the pedestals going in behind the political buildings and the Bethany buildings, basically.
Correct. So it is a joint thing between FMEC and we're paying for things out of our budget, such as the base molding around. We got 4-H went in and painted the community, not the community building, small projects building, and then we're putting the base around the bottoms to make it better. So there's things that we're doing, and it's all the administrative fees comes out of rental costs that's generated. So none of it comes out of this money.
Yeah, I want to add a few other things. one of the big reasons for the campground expansion is when we're starting to see that during Fair Week, or the 10 days, or the 5 weeks, the amount of revenue that's generated by filling up the place has been increasing from year to year, and it's not just on rate, it's just because of the ability to fill it in. We talked earlier about economic development in New Carlisle. We are receiving phone calls to see if we are a year-round facility. And by making these improvements, we can turn this into a year-round facility. And if you've ever seen the way this happens, and I have in the past, and you see it a lot with electric companies more than you do with the building next door, you know, or the county next door with all the building, there's a ton of workers that have to come in here. A lot of union people are coming in here. They need places to stay, and some of them choose to fill up hotels, and some of them have trailers that they like to live out of, and they've been calling and trying to find out. So by expanding this, not only can we continue to make this money, but we can now start making it year round. And I mean, the numbers that I have, you know, for you that FMEC made on rentals outside of Fair Week is not even 3,500. But can you imagine if you could turn that into 3,500 at least for every week? And actually,
we made more than 3,500.
Well, the net amount for 23.
No,
I'm just talking about for campgrounds. That's the numbers that I got today from Joy. And so, but we also get for the cornfields, for the farm.
But the split on the split that we have with the fair board is they maintain the fair. They service and bring campers in and everything else. We get 65%. They get 35% of the net of what's left after the cost. Except for Fair Week.
Except for Fair Week. And I will point out that campground revenues, just by increasing the two lines we did have serviced, we've increased campground rental by 7% so far.
Right.
And with the additional of the year-round ones being available, we foresee it.
So to give you an idea, the campground as it sits right now with the expansion, 1 week filled up is approximately, let's say, between $40,000 and $50,000 in revenue for 1 week. So that's what we're looking at, is getting it, expanding it, and upgrading the sites, because the electric on the old existing sites is not sufficient for today's campers and everything else. So that's why we're upgrading one line and we're adding 2 lines with this money that we're doing. So, because we're trying to focus on the items that generates the most income out there. So right now, so. That help? I'm good. What's that? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. All right. Any other questions or comments?
Just a quick comment. With as much substantiation that everybody's brought up, whether that be from the packet that Larry brought for us, or the discussion that Brett bought just a little bit ago, I mean, we all understand how important the fair is, and we all are very supportive of it, and we all understand the fact that there's just things that may not have been maintained as well as they should have. But the other side of the coin is it a need, is it a want, or is it a luxury? And that's kind of what we're up here trying to discuss, and all of this helps to support where this falls into that. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
And to put this into perspective, the fair is 178 years. Where'd Brett go?
He's hiding behind Larry.
There he is. There he is. I was looking back in the corner. 178 years this year. So let's say FMEC's been here for 8 years. So for 170 years, the county hasn't done anything. The fair board's done it all.
For the most part, yes.
For the county property.
For the county property. We add a building, say the cattle building we built in 19,
correct,
$36,000.
Right. Becomes the county's building.
It's the county's property. The Ag Association has no assets. It's
the one that you're looking to build to replace the show arena the day after the fair this year
is almost double.
Right, but it's all going to be so. There's never been as much working together out there and collaboration to try and make things better, from whether it's 4-H with the new people that we've got out at 4-H, and
they've done outstanding. Their numbers are up,
correct,
year over year so far. And then the one thing I would point out is, yes, it sounds like a lot of money, but for 6 years, to go back on 6 years on that property, you pencil that out, it's peanuts.
Right. So it's for the 4-H is still our number one reason for everything that we do out there. So if everybody keeps saying, well, you know, how come you're doing this for the fair? It's for the kids, it's for 4-H, and that's when the kids get to come do all their projects at fair, so, yes.
I'm just gonna remind everybody, we all want economic development. We all want people to come into our county, spend money, help our small businesses. And when you start having extra campers in our community, they're buying food, they're going out, they're doing things. They're just constantly buying stuff to support their lifestyle. And it's like adding another household. So all of these things just turn into more positive things by the way that we see the growth in Michigan City, the way we're seeing growth in LaPorte. And so it just keeps going on as a positive swing for the economic development of our county.
Mr. Auditor, any other comments? We're pretty much.
Yes, sir. Councilman Cunningham. I'm sorry. Councilman Keel?
Aye.
Councilman Karanka?
Aye.
Councilman Mullenauer?
Aye.
Councilman Rosenbaum?
Aye.
Councilman Yagowski?
Nay.
And Councilman Novak?
Aye.
5 ayes, 2 nays, motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any council or attorney comments?
President,
Mr. Yagowski.
I got a quick question on, and I'm sorry, this is still confusing. I've read so much about this, it makes me sick, but the ARP money, as far as we know, because it was told that it had to be commissioners' ideas, and then we could vote on them after that. Commissioners came to us with ideas. Then word came out that some of the stuff's general fund, goes back to general fund. So if this, by any means, the sewer project doesn't work, because they have to have other things in place to get it to work, and if it doesn't work, are we obligated at 2026 schedule to spend it by? I don't know. I'm asking, as I really don't know, because this has become, from the day one, it's become nothing but a mishmash of.
So, the way that I would analyze it would be this way, Mr. Yagowski. Those monies that were ARP monies were transferred, for lack of a better word, into the lost profits. Lost revenue money. So with that being said, you already have the transfer. So arguably it would not have to be spent by the timeline because it's already been spent. And that was in the lost revenue with the salaries and everything else. If those numbers that Mr. Sender, is he still here? No. Put together for the lost revenue, took it all. So.
Thank you.
I guess I'm concerned because the auditor's shaking his head no. He doesn't agree.
Well, we're just thinking that it probably needs to be appropriated by the end of 2024.
Or, I don't know if it's
spoken for, but we'd have to verify.
The law said it had to be appropriated by December 31st,
2024,
right.
26.
Right, so, but what Mr. Yagowski said was,
we could,
if the sewer project doesn't go forward,
we have to spend that money by 2026. That's my.
Well, you can encumber it.
We can spend it by spending it in the general fund, because that's technically what it is.
It is, right, so, right, I would agree with the auditor's position, and I'm just, would be if it was actually for the sewer. If we did the ARP allocation because it met the requirements of sewage and infrastructure. But the way that I'm looking at it, and there could be people who disagree with me, is that those monies were already spent in the money that we lost for lost revenue.
Do we need to get a
we probably should reach out to
clarification on that?
The other question is this, frankly, if I may. We've seen the federal government update its guidance during the period of the last few years. I don't want to say wait, but I'm wondering how they'll update their guidance as we get closer to the end of the year, and if they're going to say, if it's lost revenue, it's your money to use as you want until 2020. I'm not saying they're going to say this, but we've seen them make some pretty heady changes in things already. So
Language specifically said that the projects had to come through the commissioners. The council couldn't come up with it, so they can't come to us and ask for the money. It had to come from the commissioners. That no one voids that, correct?
If it's lost revenue, we wouldn't have to follow the same guidance.
Yeah.
Well, but you're talking sewer project. That went before the commission.
I didn't mean it.
And then it came here. So
I'm using an example. I'm saying but all the money was supposed to be allocated through, by the commissioners to the council. But if that was their top 10, then we could only vote in the top 10. We couldn't vote on 11, 12, and 13.
So the spread between the executive branch and your branch was they determined the project, you guys funded the project.
So skipping the sewer, any additional those monies, do we have to get, this is where my questions come, do we have to get some projects from the commissioner, or can we continue to spend the money as we see fit because it's back in the general fund?
So
That's a good question. We'll get an answer to.
So with that said, I would like the last document in our packet. It says Fund 8951 ARP lost revenue. It says we're minus $1,192,000 in lost revenue ARP.
What happened was, while there were two different definitions of the money, they were supposed to be in one fund. But for whatever reason, we started two funds originally. So the combined balance is what the balance is. You don't want to look at 8951 separately.
Well, because when you look at 8950, which actually says ARP Corona,
right,
local financial recovery, which would be the restricted fund, says we have $9,500,000 in it.
Did you see the paper that I gave you for the amounts available to
It says it's
spend?
actually $5 million.
Yeah, so from the beginning, Vaughn kept a listing, a check register to show what the totals were. And then at some point, I believe it was Cinder, though I'm not positive, had let Tim know that it was now all lost revenue.
So that was.
So those two funds are being combined though. So I remember Mr. Cunningham giving us the, talking about having it as one fund. And after doing research, it really should have only been one fund with the amounts in it known. So it will be combined together. It's in the works right now. Actually, the money's being moved to 8951 to cover the encumbrances, and then it will be zero.
But I appreciate you going.
It will all be 8950.
That's my question. What I'm still confused about is
was answering
the authority. That's all I'm asking. If it's the commissioners, then we need to talk to commissioners on some projects to say, what's your authority? If that's by definition, I don't know.
I don't know the answer to that, but could that have only, I wasn't here when that started, but could that have only been for that first section, not the lost revenue, but that other part?
It was for the original part, and then you could go back and figure out what is lost revenue.
Right.
But the part that was not lost revenue still had to follow the guidelines that
Yeah.
Mr. Yagowski is talking about.
But now it's all lost revenue.
But
We understand your question. We understand your question.
Somebody's gonna answer today.
We understand your question. Your question is, can the council, essentially, if I may, can the council spend the money as they see fit because it's all lost revenue?
Yes, sir.
And I'm not positive the answer of that. I think it's yes, but
That's what they've been doing.
I'm not, and believe me, I'm not trying to even be argumentative. I'm just trying to figure out myself. I don't understand.
we'll get a clear answer.
But it would help if the document, that last page, didn't show the regular Corona one having 9 million and the lost revenue being in a hole.
Yeah, that's the
Those
question
need
that
to be-
I was answering is you'll see that differently next month because it's being fixed in our office
All
already.
right, but that's all. That's
It's all being moved to 8950.
good. Perfect. That's it. Thank you. Any other comments?
One quick one. To the two students, any questions?
Who's taking them to dinner, they asked earlier.
Yeah, it's a process.
Karanka.
Any other
They
questions?
want to know who's taking them to dinner.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I appreciate Mr. Karanka recognizing the South Central students for being here. And I appreciate you taking the time to give a moment of silence for Terry Garner's father. I'm fortunate enough to have known him for virtually my whole life. I don't know if I've met a nicer human being. And he was just short of 98 when he passed away. And the connection with the South Central students is that he did a stint on the South Central School Board. So you can put that in your notes. Mr. Garner, Terry Garner, who served on this council's father, was on the South Central School Board.
Yeah. Anything else? Mr. Rosenbaum?
Just the obvious. Happy holidays to all those that celebrate Easter or any other holiday this time of the year. And I think that, I could say that from all of
I
us.
think I paid too for people that are different religions and drink everything.
And the other thing is you stay with us. We've got some, what I would call growing pains that we're trying to work through, but we're trying to work through them. And Ron and I talked quite a bit, and we're trying to work through all these things and make it so that everything's a lot better. So
George, good to see you again.
Thank you, Randy.
definitely. Is that a motion?
Motion to adjourn. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.